All right, I think that might be the issue. Let's see. Okay, can you guys hear me now? Is there a is it starting up, or is it moving now? It's been moving on my screen this whole time, so I think we've been going for like 10 minutes now without any movement. Okay, now it's moving. Okay, all right. Well, okay, so let's start over. Okay, we'll start over for the YouTube crew here. All right, so this was our morning setup. All right, we were looking for price to come into our zone. Let's go down into, here is the range. Okay, so in the morning we had a higher time frame point of interest here, which is the order block. Okay, and then we were looking for a sweep of our pre-market levels here, which the New York low, in this case one of these swing lows, which you can see price did take that level right there into our order block, and then we got our nice little displacement. So we're following the rules of our 5-step checklist. Okay, so if you guys don't have the checklist, like I said again, go ahead and download it from the link in the description so you can get your own checklist. You can follow along with us in terms of what we look for. All right, this is the same checklist I follow with all of our trade setups. Okay, so if you guys don't know what our entry model is or how we take our trades, right, the checklist will get you through it. All right, so that's basically what you need. So the first step is a higher time frame point of interest, okay, which is our order block right here. We have a divergence from this low, so we want to see this order block holding, right, and this going into the 9:30 open. The market came down, we swept the internal liquidity, which is step 2. We need a liquidity sweep, right, into our higher time frame point of interest. Step 3 is we need a displacement or an imbalance, okay, which you can see right here is forming. And then if we drop down to the 1 minute, we can see that we did get an imbalance, right? And then step 4 is that we will see a change of character, okay, which we can see here we have, which price has broken through this consolidation, this structure here, which was going down, and now we have the displacement through and the change of character. Okay, so now all we're looking for is once we get that change of character and we see price has started to retrace, that becomes our range. Okay, so look, take this high, drag it down to this low. Okay, and this becomes our entry, right? So we want to see inside of our discount, we look for a point of interest, right? In this case, we've got our imbalance here, we've got our order block here. Okay, so either one of these two, right? And then what we want to see also is we want to see price create some internal liquidity for it to sweep into the level. Okay, just like we did over here. It's the same exact steps that we looked for over here. We had the higher time frame point of interest, we saw price move away with a change of character, we saw price create a range, retrace, sweep all of this internal liquidity back into the order block, and then we saw the move, right? So we want to see the exact same thing happen here again. We have this low right now, although it's a little high. I would have liked it to come down a little bit further down, closer to it. Okay, but these right here would be our internal liquidity, looking for that to get swept. We did trade another high here, so we can move this a little bit higher. Okay, but essentially what we're looking for now is for price to come back into the range here, sweep this as internal liquidity into our point of interest, and then see price move away. Okay, so now our sweep here is a little high. It's in the premium of the range, so I don't really like that. I want the sweep to happen somewhere in the discount closer to the point of interest. Okay, so that my entry can be in the discount. Right now the entry would be here because we'd want to see confirmation of price closing back above this low here. So this is a little bit too big of a range because our next point of interest could just be this high, right? And I guess it's almost 1-to-1, not quite 1-to-1. So this would be potentially the trade if that were to occur. So I want to see price come down a little bit further down, maybe create another swing low and sweep that swing low so we can get a better risk reward. Something like this. All right, so yeah, still a little bit you know, new to the YouTube streaming thing, right? So I'm just kind of working out the bugs. But appreciate everyone jumping on, whoever's on. All right, obviously you guys in the Discord are up to date. You get the real-time stream. It's only a little bit delayed though. I don't know how big the delay is. I don't know. You guys, can you tell? Can you tell what is it, like a 30-second delay, or is it bigger than that? Less than that, hopefully. Okay. $45 seconds. Okay. Oh, we've got a little bit of a sweep up here. Yeah, I would assume around 30 seconds is the norm for the delay. Okay, which is a good incentive for anyone watching. It's not in the VIP to get in the VIP, so you can get the real-time action. All right, so we got a little bit of a sweep up here of the highs. This is our top end range. I'm just going to go back to the 15-minute here, just see if we have another. Nope, we don't have another swing high in between. So right here, okay. So what I'm going to treat this as is I'm going to treat this as a stop hunt into this level here. Okay, if we get a closure back below that New York high pre-market range, right? Because like I said, so 10 o'clock also is coming up in about 12 minutes. And if we do get a closure underneath this level here, this 4-hour candle closure, let's make this bigger so you guys can see what I'm talking about, right? So this is the level right here that we're sweeping right now, right? These equal highs up here, all of these highs into this imbalance, right? Now we don't know exactly where it's going to react in this imbalance because this imbalance is kind of huge, right? So we do actually have two. We have this one here, which is what we're reacting to right now. Okay, but this imbalance has already been tapped into once. Okay, so what we're really doing is we're trading into this high, okay, and reacting off of that high. So the imbalance above it right now is untouched. Okay, so we could still go up into that imbalance and get a reaction, which is probably what we'll do. If I'm honest, I don't expect this to just kind of tank right here. So I do expect it to do something like where we get a little bit of a retracement. Okay, and then we come back. So it creates a high here, right? So then we come back and then we sweep that high into this order block, and then we get the bigger move down, right? That's kind of what I'm anticipating today. So if that happens, right, this level here will be important to watch, okay? But the 10 o'clock close also, we'll see. If this closes above, then yeah, we'll probably likely move up into this imbalance and go higher, right? If we close below, then I think that we will get a little retracement, but probably a smallish one back into, like, you know, this imbalance down here. Okay, so we get a closure underneath. We'll get, retracement. Price will come back down into this imbalance here, and then we'll see price come up into this one, and then we'll get a move down, right? I like the sequence of events that I'm looking for, right? That's what I'd like to see happen, if it's possible. So we'll watch for this closure here. We just got that 945 candle, which was a very big bullish candle, right? Which, kind of leads me to believe that either it's going to be a manipulation, or we could take it right back and close back inside the range, or we continue off of this and we keep pushing higher into the next POI. Yes, exactly. And that is our whole model, right? That's what we're trading. We're trading the PO3 model, the accumulation, manipulation, distribution, exactly. So this is, this is fractal, right? It happens on all time frames. So you can see what we saw happen here right at the open, okay? It happened on the lower time frame as well, right? On the 1 minute. But conversely, now if I go back out to the 4 hour, what I was looking for, right? I'm looking for the exact same thing here on the 4 hour as well, right? So we have price sweeping out a very large liquidity pool over here, which is this. Okay, so we have a higher time frame point of interest. I mean, think of this as like a big order block over here. All right, so you have a higher time frame point of interest. Price sweeps liquidity into that higher time frame point of interest, which is step 2. So step 1 here, right? Order block, higher time frame point of interest. Step 2 here with our sweep. Okay, so here's 1, here's 2. Okay, then step 3 is we want to see the displacement, right? Away from this level. Obviously, we got huge displacement away from this level. Okay, so that's step 3. Step 4 is we want to see our change of character, right? Which is right here. Boom. Or inversion. Right here. Right? And then step 5, which is optional, is we want to see some sort of divergence, right? Which I don't think we got divergence from, any of these lows here. So that's but that's optional, okay? And then once that happens, what do we have? We have our model, right? So we have from the sweep, which was confirmed with the displacement, right? We have our range, this low to this high, right? Well, let me make this bigger, or sorry, not bigger, but let's go from here. This is the original low, right? And now what we want to see is inside of our premium, right? We want to see liquidity, internal liquidity formed, which is right here. These highs, right? These equal highs that we just took out, forming in front of a premium point of interest, which is our imbalance right here, right? So now we have a sweep, internal sweep of our liquidity into a point of interest, right? And then getting us to move away from this level here, like that. Right, so this is essentially what I'm looking for to happen. Okay, and like I said, this is on a 4 hour time frame, but you can see the model is exactly the same as what we saw on the buy side today, right at the open. Okay, and we marked exactly how we marked it today, right? Exactly how it played out. Whoops, that's not what I want to do. Let's get rid of this brush. What happened here? Come on. There we go. All right, so for those of you that watched the pre-market video, okay, pre-market, we said that we had a range forming, right, ahead of our point of interest, which was our 15-minute order block. So before price had even started, this was our pre-market, right? We had this order block marked. I said that, potentially there's going to be this swing low that's formed before the open. And then we get a run into this order block here, sweeping out this internal level, right? And then hitting that and then giving us a move up to our draw on liquidity, right? Lo and behold, that's what happened. So it's the same model, obviously, right, on a lower time frame as well as the higher time frame, because price is fractal, right? It does everything on a higher time frame. It'll do the same things on a lower time frames. So this is how we can get more, obviously, precise entries, right? But we look for the same model throughout, right? So now that we have this sweep, we have the imbalance, we have the displacement, okay, and we have price coming back into the range here. So what are we looking for? We're looking for price to create, like I said, liquidity, right, into our point of interest here, right? Now, because we've already taken out our target for today, right, we have to assume that, there's potentially going to be a reversal here. But, if we are going to continue higher, like I said, if the idea is that we're going to go higher up in here, right, then we should see price come back and go higher. But after, we retrace and into levels here, we should see these levels hold. Right, like if this divergence holds, if the order block holds, because what we want to do is we want to build in liquidity, all of this liquidity here, for when we actually do get the reversal, which we are expecting to be up here, to then come down for these levels, right? It could also come down for these levels now, right here, after taking this level out. So that's what we want to see. We want to verify that, and so if it holds here, right, we're going to see price trade into our level, but then we're going to see reaction from that level, away from that level, and then we can look to enter. Good morning, Rain. So we had a little technical issue this morning, I think. But started the stream a little bit late. But it should be good now, and you can double check for me. Yep. Okay, so we have our sweep up here. Okay, we have a little bit of a move down and a change of character. So if we are expecting price to come down here to our levels, right, then we could potentially see a setup forming right here. So we have a sweep of a level, right? We've got a bearish change of character now. And then we want to see price come down here to this low here to get swept, right? So this would potentially be, this would be a fractal, 1 minute model that we're looking at here. Okay, change of character confirms the sweep. And then we get the range once it starts to retrace. We get the range from high to low. Let's say, for example, like this was the low, which it's not right now, not yet anyway. But we'd be looking for, there's a swing high right here, technically, right inside of the premium. There's an imbalance right here. So what we want to see price do is we'd want to see it create the low, retrace, sweep that internal liquidity into the imbalance here, get the reaction, and then trade away. And then trade down into this low, and hopefully down into this low, because that's what we want to see it come down to.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Hey, the change of character there, doesn't it have to take out the high there?
Take out. Oh, you mean?
It's not going up above. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason why it's saying it's a change of character is because there's a tiny swing high right here, and that's just from the indicator. But if we were, so there's no divergence here. So you're right. You're correct. Like it should be price comes up here first and then we come down like this, right? So we didn't do that. So for me, technically the change of character should actually be down here, right? In this swing, because this is the swing here that comes up and takes out that high. So this is just the indicator seeing this as a swing high, that being taken out, and then that getting traded through, which is why it's showing us that. And also there's a imbalance here. So, but you're correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, the move happened right at the open. So yes, we did miss that move, but we wouldn't have, entered right on the open anyway. We would have at least waited for that. This is what we're waiting for right now. Is basically the retracement and the confirmation setup. So we have the sweep into the point of interest again, right? So step number one, higher time frame point of interest, right? 15-minute OB. We have step number two, liquidity sweep into that OB. Step three, we have the displacement away from that OB, right? Then we have the inversion, which is the bearish imbalances getting negated by the bullish ones. We have the change of character, and we have the divergence, right? So we have all 5 points here. And now, when price is retracing, which is now it's retracing, you can see. Okay, and we have some internal liquidity here, just at the 50% point here, right? And then we have our discount POI, we have our change of character high. It's all basically all right here. We want to see price come down into this level right here, which is 680. Okay, and our liquidity here. Now, it's valid as soon as we get the sweep underneath this level, right? So you could do this, right, and get, the entry here. But what we want to see is we want to see this sweep confirmed, right? So how do we confirm the sweep? We come down into it, right? We tap the level, and then we close back above it, right? That's how we can confirm that. And then that's the wrong thing there. And then we get our entry. But our entry here, that would be, like I said, it would be a 60-ish point stop, okay? And then we'd run out this high for the target, right? Which is just about a 1-to-1. So that's what we're looking for it to do. Open did happen rocket mode. Yeah, we catapulted like 100 points right off the open, creating the higher low. Yes, exactly, right? So basically you want, because this, right, signals that we are bullish, right? Because we have the bullish change of character. So the range that we're drawing, right, is following structure. The retracement back into the discount, right? Creating the higher low and then going on to make the higher high. We're just following market structure. I guess he should, yeah, his finger was itchy, I guess. Trigger finger slipped. Now there will be a bearish setup here, okay, that occurs once we cross this threshold here, right? Because this will be a bearish change of character. Now, obviously that will be going against the trend, so it's going to be a little bit risky, right? But technically a bearish setup will form if we get a closure through this level here, right? Because then we will get the actual change of character, and then we'll start to see a retracement, right? And that retracement will give us our range, and then we have these nice little swing highs inside the premium. If that's the case, let me mark this. Right, let's say it creates a range, I don't know, somewhere down here, right? And then it starts to retrace. So like here, let's mark this like this. Right, and then it changes character back up and takes out these internal highs into I don't know, order block here, into this imbalance here, right? That imbalance here, I think that's the level, because we did sweep that level here. So we want to see a retracement into that level and a reaction, and then once that reaction is confirmed, then we can look for a move down. This is going to be a riskier setup, obviously, because it's against the higher time frame bias. Right, but you could essentially get, a 1-to-1 out of it if we do get a little small little kind of manipulation move away, which is what we got yesterday, if you remember. And that setup also gave us a 1-to-1. But I was kind of explaining something during the live, and we missed that move. But right here, right? So we had some kind of sweep up here, this level. I think it was, yeah, this level right here. So we'll go over this again, just so you guys can see it in real time with the other end of the spectrum, right? As this counter, right? So we were bullish yesterday. Again, we had the bullish bias. So we were looking for price to go higher. But price came up here through this level, right? And then we saw price close back through. So this right here, we have the swing high, right? It comes down, it closes back through. This level here is swept, right? Why is that level swept? Because we have the change of character, right? We have the swing low that comes up here. It gets traded through. Right, so this level confirms a sweep. Now we have a sweep. Okay, we have displacement, right? We have the imbalance. Price starts to retrace. Once the retracement starts to happen, that's our range. Okay, high to low. Inside of that range, we want price to create internal liquidity, right? Which is internal swing highs. So we got one right here. Look at that. And then we will look for our order block, imbalance, point of interest inside of the premium, right? Which is right here. Price trades into it. We close outside of it, right? Trade into it, close outside of it, close underneath the swing high that we swept. That's our entry right there. Okay, stop goes above the order block, right? 30 points. Okay, you can be safe and put it above the swing highs. Well, that's 40 points, okay? And then we go for 1-to-1. And then we get basically exactly 1-to-1 here. All right, so you could probably, take it right after we take out this low here. Like I said, 30 to 40 points, is plenty, right? If you do that every day and catch a move like that every day, obviously it's great, but maybe you won't catch a trade every day, but there are other days where you'll catch, 60, 70, 80, and, well, those will make up for those days, right? But that was against the trend, okay? And it was a little bit riskier, right? And then we should take the 1-to-1s on those, okay? You should not try to hold for longer if you get those 1-to-1s on the counter trend trades. All right, let's go back to this here. I think we did create our... no, we didn't get down there. All right, so we got a divergence. We got a... We got to move up here. Didn't get down to our... Didn't sweep our lows. Now we got a divergence here, which means that there's a higher low here on ES and YM, right? Which means that on ES and YM, this is still kind of like this. So I like that, because it means that we still could come back down and sweep those out and trade into this level here. And now we're getting... Nope, went away. All right, I'll show you guys a little fractal model continuation, right? So now we have this push, right? And then we have this retracement, which doesn't come down to our zone here, but then pushes higher and creates another structure. Okay, so now we have on the 1 minute, this is our current 1 minute structure, right? So price comes down into our point of interest, right? So our point of interest in this case is looks like this imbalance. Okay. We get the change of character, right? You can see right here, we got a sweep, we got divergence, we have change of character above, right? And now, since we have the change of character and price pulling back, right? This becomes our range. Okay, and then we look for price to trade back into this, let's say, order block imbalance right here. You can see there's an imbalance right there. It's marked out. Okay, but first we want to see some kind of swing into this level here, right? Something like that. And then a move down and then a move up. This will be a little bit lower into the range if possible. Right, so that we get the internal sweep into a point of interest and then we get the move away, right? So as soon as price closes above this level, we can enter. Stop goes underneath the order block, right? And then 2R if we get, you know, that's the high, if that is the high. Thanks for that link. I will check that out later. Okay, we have a lot of stuff here on the screen, so let me just clean some of this stuff up here. Let's keep the relevant levels on here. All right, how did we close on the 4 hour? We did close underneath. So you can see here we did get a closure underneath. However, this next candle here, if we were going to get a bigger retracement down into these levels, I think we would have started to kind of break down here. So generally what you want to see is you don't want to see price go above the candle, right? You want to see it when we get this kind of movement, we're expecting basically the formation of a 3-bar swing, right? And so the third candle should really just stay under this open here. I mean, we could come up into the wick, maybe the 50% of the wick as like a stop hunt or manipulation, and then come down. But you can see here we opened and then we just kind of rocketed up there. So this is already past the range of the previous candle, and you know, we didn't even come down to the 50% level here. So it's still possible, like we still could see that, but you know, like I said, we're already up into this region up here. I feel like we're gonna make our way back up into this imbalance up here, which is up here at like 870, 880. And looking at the 15-minute, you can see that we traded into the, not the order block, but we traded into this imbalance right here. Just a little tap into that. So there's our higher time frame point of interest, which is the 15-minute imbalance. A sweep into the imbalance. We swept this low. Let me mark that low. Which low is that? That is the, it's basically the near high low, right? So it's this low right here that we swept, right? So we swept that into the imbalance, and then we got this change of character, right? So that's that setup that I just marked out. Okay, so our 15-minute imbalance here tapped into with the sweep, with divergence, with change of character, with displacement. All right, we get change of character candles here as our order block in the discount. We got our nice little internal liquidity here. It's kind of high up in the range though. Like I said, I like to be a little bit closer to where we are, but let's see. And of course we still have this one if it does make it all the way down there, but we'll get a retracement here first. All right, if you guys are joining us on the YouTube stream, we're just waiting for our setup to happen here. We got some retracement that we're looking for, and potentially looking for it to come back here into some discount POIs that we can get reactions from. Now, this is going to be a continuation. Obviously, you can see we did get the continuation right off the open, or the the pre-market New York high level. So right here we got a rejection and a new range. We see price respecting that rejection and then trading higher. So we want to see this level continue to hold. Okay, now we're getting our retracement here. So this is going to be our high and low. Right, and then we have our order block. We have our internal discount sweep here. Let's level. Look for a sweep of that level. And then again, we want to see confirmation, right? So price could come down here, right? And we could see price tap into the OB, but then we might, not see it trade away from it, right? We want to see it trade away from this level, and then we want to see it trade above the sweep, okay? So it could just kind of like, mess around here and kind of like consolidate. If we don't see that closure above this level here, then it's likely going to do something like this, right? And then just continue down to maybe the next level. So we want to see it really confirm, with the reaction that we get from that level. And then if we get the closure above, right, then we can look to enter. And then our entry will look like this, right? So let's say we get an entry, we get the stop to go underneath this low here, about 30 points, and then we'll look to run out this next high for 1-to-1. Okay, 1-to-1 would be even before that level, so we could even look for it to before that level. But this would be about a 1.5, and then if we target the cycle level 25,800, it'll be about almost 2R. All right, trading through our top end here, so we'll have a new swing high level. Yep. So we're getting into where it's going to probably start to consolidate, right? So, I mean, the opening move, excuse me. Sorry. The opening move was this big move right here, right? It was like about 100 points. And then we got this little retracement. Okay. And so what it looks to me like we're doing is the 15-minute looks like it's a pretty big, strong move up, right? So once we get a big move like this, we usually get some sort of consolidation, which is probably what this is going to become. So notice how we left like, a swing low here. We have a swing low here, right? So what could happen is, we'll start to take out, like we'll take out this low here and then we'll consolidate, all right? We'll do something like this and then we'll finally get, a move that then takes the levels out and then moves, right? So we're building in some liquidity here for this move. And while we're doing that, like notice how this is higher, right? So we still have this level here that could potentially be taken out. So we could see price doing all this here, right? And actually get a move up from our level that we're looking for, but then we come down and sweep all of that. So yeah, like I said yesterday, the opening move, right? The first hour of the session really is where we get, our initial trade. Was the highest probability of the initial trade happening in that first hour. After that, it's probably going to end up, setting up to be something for the PM session. So after the big move, we get a retracement, right? Build in more liquidity, then get another sweep in the afternoon, and then get another move. Right. Yesterday, I think we got, let's see, we did get an additional move, right? And there it is, right? So you can see here, this happened at like 2 o'clock, right? Way later in the session. Let's see here. This was the morning move here at 9:30. Okay, we loaded up. Okay, we went above here. There's this next range. So look at this range here. Check this out. Okay, look at that, right? Range, liquidity, sweeps the liquidity into the discount, right? So let's swap this one, not quite this one. And then we get the change of character, and then we get the confirmation, and then the push out. Okay, let's see this one. This was, okay, when we break above this into this right here, this is our next range. I guess that's the high right there. Okay, so this one right here, this one didn't quite get into our discount. So I would have liked to have seen this one come down into the discount, but see what we did here? We had high to low, low to high, right? And then we came down. This level here gets swept right here, internal. I would have liked, because this is so close, right? You can see the level right here. I would have liked to see price come down into this like order block or here, something like that, but didn't quite get there. Sometimes you don't get, price coming back to where you want it to. All right, but I would assume that we're going to do something similar here today in the afternoon. So, up to this level. Remember, this is our draw still, all right? So we're still looking for price to get up here. So this next retracement, whatever this retracement is, okay, will form our range, okay? It was looking like this one, but now we've got a higher one. So now we've got to wait for the next swing high range to form. Whatever that range is, I'll just use the 800 level here for now, right? That's our low. Here's our discount. POI, these are our internal levels, right? This one is favored. Obviously, it might just do this one and go up. It's probably perfectly fine. We've got an order block right here at the 50% level and an imbalance. So it could go down here to this level, sweep out this low, and trade into this order block, right? That would still count as a discount POI, and then we get this move up. I would like it though, however, to trade back into here, right? Sweep this level, trade into this. That may not always be the best case scenario though, because if we're going to come back down for these levels here, once we hit this level, we want to build in a nice higher low structure here, right? So it might just also respect this one. But this is ideally what I'm looking for. Okay, so once we start to get retracement back into the range, we sweep out some internal lows, trade back into the discount POI, and then we get our confirmation. Right, once we hit this level, then we can look for shorts, confirmations of shorts, right? But that will take some time to build out. Okay, because the 4-hour and the 15-minute will need to confirm first, right? So that I know that price is actually turning around, because we could hit this level and we could still keep going higher, right? If we don't get a 4-hour or 15-minute confirmation, and what does that look like? So like over here, as I was saying, price closed under here, right? That is a 4-hour confirmation, but there's no follow through on that. There was no follow through on that. So price would have stayed around the open here. It would not have come up over this high because that was the stop or the sweep, right? And then we would have seen a 15-minute like shift back below an internal level or something like that, or maybe a close through a 15-minute imbalance. Let's see. Yeah, like this right here, right? Same thing. This level here, you can see a 15-minute closure back down below, but there's no follow through after that. So here, let's go back. Okay, so you can see here, that was the level, right? 4-hour level. It closed back inside. This was 10 o'clock right here. This is the 9:45 candle. So 9:45 and 10 o'clock candle close right here. It closed back inside the range. So on the 4-hour, this was a wick. And on the 15-minute, this is a bearish close back inside above that level. Okay, now if you think of this as the first 2 candles in a 3-bar swing, the third candle should do what? Just like when we look for our CRT bias, right? If CRT takes out the high of the previous candle and then we close back inside the range or close back underneath the high, then what's the third candle likely going to do? It's going to come down and take out this low, right? So you can see what price does is it opens. It actually went lower first, right? So the first thing that we want to do, if price is going to go lower, we wanted to see price go higher first. Open, go higher, manipulate, stay underneath the high here, stay underneath this level here, right? And then go lower, which obviously that didn't happen. It went lower first, took out this low, and then it went higher, and then closed back above this level, which made it bullish. Right? So when we get to this level here, when we get to that same higher time frame point of interest, all right, we're going to see the same thing or same kind of behavior. All right, let's see if there's a high over here that I can reference for this order block, or this imbalance rather. There's the high right here. Okay, this is a 15-minute high. Okay, into this imbalance. Okay, and this is, like I said, this is just the bottom of the imbalance, right? This imbalance, look how far it extends. Okay, it's a huge imbalance. Okay, so it could be, you know, look, if let's make this, refine this to 15-minute right here. So we got a 15-minute imbalance right here. And we've got this high, swing high into that imbalance, right? What happened to price? I'm too far out. I'm not, still not there yet. There we are. Okay. All right. So now, if we get up there, okay, and we get a reaction at this level here, then we want to see price go up into the level and then close back below it, right? That's going to confirm that this is actually bearish, right? And we're getting a reaction, a bearish reaction outside of this point of interest, closing back underneath this high. Okay, so we'll get something like this over here. Right, then the open is going to do what? Then it's going to open, it's going to manipulate higher. Right, stay under this candle, and then we're going to get this move down, right? If it actually is bearish from that point. So if this our draw is this imbalance in this high next, then yeah, this is the next move that should do it, right? This consolidation here pushes through, and then we should see price continue to make higher highs, higher lows as we push up, right? So we don't have our retracement just yet. Looks like this was going to be it, and it didn't happen. So now we got this. All right, so let's see here. 15-minute candle closed, pretty bullish as well. We don't have another swing high until this right here, right? So like I said, I'm still expecting the draw to be those highs. Yeah, it's just been kind of moving up slowly, right? And this is kind of one of those days where, unfortunately, no retracements, nowhere really good to get in. Okay, so we just have to wait for it to happen. Right, we don't even have, we did get one retracement here on the 15-minute imbalance, right? And then it didn't give us a confirmation retracement, right? So we did get this little retracement back into this imbalance here, and then the push up. This retracement would have been the entry, but let's see here. Yeah, so this would have been the entry would have been after closing back above this low. So that happens right here, right on that change of character push. And then we have a stop under here, which is about 30 points. Okay, and it's right now potentially at 76 points is the high, but we at 2R, right where it is right now. Okay, so there was one potential setup there, but like I said, it was kind of at this point here, it was high up in the range. And I wanted to come back. We still wanted to come back here into our discount. This is still like the premium of the range here. So if we would have counted this as our range, then yeah. But if we would have taken this as the range, which we technically could have, then we had a nice discount retracement. Okay, so yeah, if we get up here, right, and like I said, we can look for a potential move. Oh, looks like we're getting a little push up into here. Okay, so once we get a retracement, whatever that retracement is, that'll be our high, right? This will be our low. Look for a retracement into one of our discount POIs in here. Okay, so right now it could be this one, could be this one for these two, if that is the high, which if it keeps going, then that's not going to be it, right? So that gives us a discount move. We can put our stop underneath the low here, and then what that does is that guarantees you at least a 1-to-1, right? So you're making sure that you're taking a trade, below the 50% if we're buying, above if we're selling, because we're targeting the next high, right? And that's going to give you at least a 1-to-1. 2R if it hits our higher time frame point of interest from this point, if we get this entry here. Okay, so we'll look for that to occur. You know, same thing as yesterday. I'm probably not going to sit through this consolidation here, you know, and just wait for it to happen with you guys. But if it does occur, you know, I'll be on the lookout for it. But I think we can just end the stream here for today. We'll come back tomorrow, do the same thing. All right. Does anyone have any questions? This was, you know, right at the open, and then we had another opportunity here. I'll do a breakdown for you guys later in the chat, okay? And for everyone else, like I said, if you guys don't have the checklist, go ahead and download it from the description. Link in the description for the checklist. And for the rest of you guys on the Discord, the VIP, I will probably release the indicators today, but I'll send you guys an announcement with that, and you guys can tinker with them. Okay, they should be okay now. I mean, I tested them for a couple weeks, so they should be good. What software? It was just Canva. I just created a PDF. Yeah, that's just so you guys can print it out. Obviously, I could just, you know, list it out every day for you guys, but, you know, for you to have something like, you know, physical where you can print out and like just like put it on your wall, on your desk or something like that, makes a big difference. Okay. Yeah, so Anna, the link is the YouTube stream. Unfortunately today, because the first 10 minutes were cut off, I didn't actually record that part because the YouTube stream didn't record it. So going forward, I mean, I'm probably not going to do the normal recordings just because the YouTube will have the stream recorded. And so that kind of saves me a step. Everyone asks me for a link afterwards. You guys can just go straight to the YouTube now and get the recording from there, so that you don't have to keep asking me for the link. But we did have a little technical issue there in the beginning, and so the first 10 minutes. But you know, I didn't. There's nothing in the first 10 minutes that you missed that I didn't cover later on. Yeah, so instead of, you know, waiting for me to you know, upload and edit the recording and post it in the Discord, you guys have it right away now with the YouTube. Yep. Okay, so we'll come back tomorrow. We'll do the same. Hopefully this sets us up for something in the afternoon if we can. Like I said, there's no red news this week, right? So it's all going to be just pure, you know, price action behavior, and we'll see if, you know, the setups occur more so in the afternoon or, you know, the mornings. We did have a couple of setups occur, but, you know, this one, like I said, it happened right at the opening bell. We're not going to take a trade like that. But this one technically was also an entry, but this was just kind of, you know, we were still looking for it to retrace a little bit deeper, and I didn't quite consider this, you know, a range. But if I look at it now, retesting off of the top of the pre-market range, I guess would have been, you know, it would have been valid. But yeah, I'll do a breakdown for you guys later. I'll post that up in the Discord for you guys, and then I'll also send the announcement later for the indicators. All right. Any other pending business?
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
I don't think we hit a point of interest here, but the bearish break of structure there, that's not valid, right?
Well, it's forming the range. So now we do have an actual swing high, as we didn't get one here or here or here. Now we finally have one. So now we have our range. So we got this. This is our high. This is our low. Okay, and now we're looking for price to come down into our discount. So we've got a sweep here or a sweep here into a order block here or order block here that we can get for a move up to continue up to here. All right, so this is our current setup that we're waiting for. Either price comes down and sweeps this level or this level and then gives us a move up right here. That's what we're looking for. Okay. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Good luck with your trades today. If you have any questions or anything else, just go ahead and leave a comment below. And for those of you on the YouTube, same goes for you guys, right? And I'll reply to everything as soon as I can get to it. All right. Take care, guys, and see you tomorrow.